Morning, Sandra. Morning, Dunk. Morning, Nancy. Morning, Karen. Davey. Sorry, Dave. Morning, Ann. Morning, Maggie. Morning, Stephen. Morning, Doug. Morning, Paul. Morning, Ian. Margaret. Barbara. Nori. Alex. Kirsty. John. Linda. Jump across the YouTube. Getting busy there as well. Sandra Dunk. John, the van driver. Van driving legend. Morning, John. Morning, Robert. Morning, Christine. Morning, Mr. E. Morning, Ruth. Morning, Geordie. Hey. Morning, Jim. Lorraine. Where are we? Nearly there. Morning, Mal. Morning, Hugh. Morning, Susan. Right, I think we'll go Mace there. I haven't got anywhere near Mace to use, actually. Morning, Alexander. Right, we're up to our 100 mark, so let's get this broadcast underway. The Cindy Truck TV, out the truck, at home, in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is pissing it down. Really low cloud, pissing it down. Still not bad for the time of year, 8 degrees, but it's getting nearer where it should be, Okay, let's get this broadcast underway. This is the news review for the 17th of the 11th, 2022, better known to you and me as yesterday. Alright, Thursday started with one major theme in the rags, Hunt's new age of austerity. They are also calling it austerity 2.0, but truth is, austerity never ever went away. Right, a couple of the rags go on other stories. The only right-wing rag, the Daily Fail, avoids the fiscal statement because, let's face it, it's a Tory rag. It doesn't want to give bad news to rabid gammon readers. So, any bad news for the Tories, they don't want to put it out. So, they went on eggs being rationed in supermarkets. The other gammon rag, the Express, says Hunt is fixing things in a fair and honest way. You couldn't make these gammon rags up. You know, two full-on Tory rags. One avoids the fiscal statement, and the other one who actually trumpeted Truss's mini budget as the greatest budget ever. They're saying Hunt's fixing it in a fair way. Aye, my bahookie. Okay, the National goes on date set for Scotland to find out if it's a partner in a union or if it's a colony of Little England. Wales and Northern Ireland look on with interest, as the judgment will settle their status too. Especially Northern Ireland. Because you've got to remember, Northern Ireland, like Scotland, is in this union via a treaty. Whereas Wales, well, it's got a fight in its hands just to prove it's a country. We all know it's one of the Celtic nations. But as far as England's concerned, it's been assumed. It doesn't even have its own legal system anywhere. Okay, moving on. Thursday started here in Scotland, as it always does, with the Pravda setting up the topics for First Minister's questions. So 5 more Type 26 frigates to be, and they burnt out GPs are the main stories in the Pravda yesterday morning. Okay, we'll get a wee bit better at that and we'll get to First Minister's questions. But every Thursday morning here, when you listen to the Pravda first thing in the morning, they set up what's happening in First Minister's questions that day. It's almost as if it's been directed through BBC Scotland under its command from London to set up Tory and Labour for First Minister's questions. We could call them the Britain Alliance, I suppose. Anyway, moving on. Thursday, and Highlands Council, Highlands Council Community and Places Committee meets to discuss fire and rescue cover for Caithness and Sutherland. It would appear that Scottish Fire and Rescue are having trouble recruiting firefighters in the area. Now, that meant that fire and rescue cover for the area was patchy. For example, Caithness and Lochaber Fire Station is only manned 56% of the time. Locale station was only staffed 59% of the time. And Easter Ross was only covered for 72% of the time. And Wester Ross for only 81% of the time. Right, the Scottish Fire and Rescue said it did have recruitment problems in the region, but is trying to take steps to sort it out. So if you're up there in Caithness, don't set your house on fire. No, that's quite serious, folks. A lot of these people are volunteer firemen, so it would appear they're having trouble recruiting a part-time or volunteer fireman for the area up there. That's not good news. Right, moving on Thursday. And for the third year in a row, Scottish Government-owned Prestwick Airport is in profit. Sales of aviation fuel is up, mainly due to North American military planes filling up on their way to Ukraine with the equipment for the Ukrainian conflict. Cargo and passenger numbers are also up. The cuckoos in the nest have gone quiet on Prestwick, which they would have let go under, killing thousands of jobs in the area. Now, this is a good news story. Once again, Prestwick's in profit. Scottish Government ownership has turned it around. Now, the airport is very important to the aerospace industry in the area. There is a large aerospace industry in the area. So the two of them go hand in glove with each other. And it was the right thing for the Scottish Government to do to rescue the airport. But the cuckoos in the nest, they would have let it go under. So there we go. Prestwick's doing well, folks. And we own it. Isn't that good news? Anyway, I think the total profits after costing that were 1.9 million. Not a lot, but to reinvest in the business and get it growing further again. Right, moving on Thursday. Here in Scotland, 75,000 panel solar farm approved near Chapel Cross in southern Scotland. 60 jobs will be created in the construction of the site, and when operational, it should be able to power a town the size of Annan for the next 40 years. Now, the plans flew through the planning process with no opposition, and the site will generate 38 megawatts of clean energy for the area. That's a great news story. It's going to be built near the old nuclear plant, so the infrastructure for getting the electricity out's already there. Bloody great idea. Anyway, D&G Council, or the Dumfries and Galloway Council, they're hoping that more such installations can be built in the area. I don't see why not. I see local generation as being the answer to our problems. And it would also bring down costs. You know, if local communities generated their own energy, and such projects would make that possible. Right, moving on Thursday down that road, and while I was on air, cheeky twit, Jeremy the Hunt started his fiscal statement. Now, Dave and I went through it yesterday afternoon, the Two Davies show. But let's have a wee look at the bulletin points, all right? Chancellor tells us we're officially in recession. Pensions and benefits to be raised by September 2022's RPI at 10.1%, but we're now at 11.1% and rising. So it's still a real times cut, believe it or not. Cost of living aid for the lowest families and lowest earners on benefits, pensioners and the disabled. Now, what's interesting about this cost of living being dished out, you can actually see where the value of life is and why the Chancellor did this. Young families on benefit with potential of getting into work and generating tax get 900 quid. Pensioners who vote Tory get 300 quid. But if you're disabled, apparently you don't have the same needs as everybody else because you're only getting 150 quid. Apparently you know it's valued as much as anybody else. So there we have it, folks, the value of life in our society. People of working age who could possibly get into work and generate tax revenues get 900 quid. People who have paid in all their life and are likely to vote Tory because they're pensioners get 300 quid. But if you're less able, disabled is the word they like to use, then you're worthless and your needs are not as great as anybody else's. So you're getting 150 quid. Even though you have greater needs than anybody else and you need the 900 more than anybody else. It shows you the value of life in our society. It's sickening. The persecution of the disabled goes on. The murder of the disabled goes on. It's an outrage. The misery of society is how we treat the least of us. Well, the Tory government's just put a value on each of us. Absolutely disgusting. Energy price cap to be raised to so that the average household bill would be £3,000 a year. I'm already more than that. What is this average usage stuff? I've got an average house. I've got a 3-bedroom apartment. It's costing me 3,200 quid a year. The new. So I guess it's going to cost me 3,700 next year. Income tax rates fixed till 2028. Which of course isn't possible unless the Tories get put back in. Because Starmer might want to change it and no government can be held to the policies of the previous government. But as we've seen, they normally do actually. But that freeze on rates, income tax rates till 2024, let's say, anyway. It's actually going to be a huge tax uplift for the Treasury because, you know, as we get pay rises, we pay more tax. So being set at that rate and no move flexible, yeah, well, you know. Minimum wage up from £9.50 to £10.42. That was an easy one for the Tory hunt, as employers are liable for it. But it's also interesting because what it will do is take these people that weren't earning enough to be paying tax into paying tax. Win-win for the Treasury. And it doesn't cost them a penny. Right, 45% tax rate now to kick in at 125,000, sorry, for 140 rather than 150,000. All right. Now it will generate £1 billion for the Treasury apparently. Now in Scotland it's a wee bit different. Our highest tax, our highest earners pay 46% in tax. So we'll just need to see what John Swinney does with it. All right. Increased funding for schools and NHS doing that road means Barnett consequentials to Scotland of 1.5 billion. So still a shortfall in what they basically they're giving us another 1.5 billion, but they'd already whacked 1.7 up or 1.8 up the budget anyway. So it's not going to help. They'd already cut the budget by 1.8 billion. This isn't going to help. Right. Change to council tax rates down that road doesn't affect Scotland. But the change down there is they're going to allow the councils to charge up to 5% council tax, 5% there in council tax. Our councils can already get increased council tax by 4% at a time, but our council tax is much lower because the SNP government froze council tax for 10 years. Right. Cut to tax on dividends and capital gains tax, helping the wealthy. Cap and bankers' bonus to be removed. And a tax cut for the bonuses, I think it was 8% to 3% the tax cut was for the richest of us. National insurance and inheritance tax were frozen until April 2024. Windfall tax on energy giants up to 35%, but it's all smoke and mirrors because if they say they're going to invest, then they don't pay the tax. They get 90 pence relief in the pound on that windfall tax, so they're only paying a fraction. Right, defence spend to remain at 2% of GDP for the next couple of years. That's a huge cut to the defence budget because nothing's been adjusted for inflation. Okay, fuel duty to rise. This one's a cracker. This one was hidden in the small print, kiddies. Fuel duty to rise by 23% next March, putting 12 pence on a litre of fuel. There you go. There's a couple more hidden gems in there, I know, but we'll get to them when I find them. Because no doubt alcohol and tobacco duties will go whack. You got to remember, folks, what we heard yesterday was only a direction of travel. It wasn't for us, it was for the markets. It's a promissory note. Most of what he announced won't kick in until after April. So listen, winter of discontent still on. Okie dokie. Hey, now see, most of the major changes above come into force in April 2022. 23, sorry. But there's a long time between now and April 2023. Will the can't say the promises made? Will the statements made today, yesterday, be valid in April 2023? Will some of the stuff that he announced, like the energy cap and things like that, ongoing, will it be affordable? Interesting question. Moving on Thursday, and Scotland's Auditor General Stephen Boyle tells us that the Scottish Government needs to reform the public sector or face an overspend which will affect budgets for years going forward. He cites budget cuts from Westminster, rising gas prices as a cost to the government for heating buildings and things like that, up 197%, they said in the report. Wow. Rising electricity costs for public buildings of 27.5%. Cost for capital projects because of Brexit and inflation up 30%. And the increased costs of paying public sector workers, 700 million in climbing. He also says the NHS and National Care Service are unsustainable. And he's probably right as long as we stay in this bloody union. I've already said the Scottish budget's being cut. Basically, the extra 1.5 billion that was thrown, and that will be for the next few years while the Tories are still in power. I mean, it was just another crumb for the table. Right, moving on Thursday, and First Minister's questions is on. First up is Dross, and he goes on bobbles from Westminster. Dross asked the First Minister if she welcomes new 4.2 million investment for 5 new frigates on the Clyde. The First Minister says aye, then throws doubt on the baubles by stating that it was originally meant to be 12 tubs, she says. Dross says there'd be no shipbuilding on the Clyde if it wasn't for the broad shoulders of the Union. The Chamber rolled about laughing. Right, the First Minister pointed out the Scottish taxpayers are paying for these tubs as well. Dross, as usual, Bahookie kicked, naughty step. I mean, seem to forget that we actually pay tax here. It's not the broad shoulders of the Union at all. It's our tax money. Anyway, next up was Sarwar, and he was chasing ambulances as usual. This time GP's burnout, says British Medical Association. Well, it's a British one, and where's the Scottish Medical Association? We'll sort that out after independence. Right, the First Minister's yeah, bam, there's been a pandemic. Sarwar's sent to see the nurse, because it would appear he's got a memory problem. Okay, and apparently, I bumped into my neighbour Tam yesterday, and he was listening to the First Minister's as I was passing by, and Cole Hamilton was on. I couldn't make out a word he was saying. You know me, I don't be irrelevant. But Tam was listening with interest. So I stops and I says to Tam, what's that bam on about? So he tells me it's about the National Care Service that the Scottish Government's planning and putting in place. And he said, Cole Hamilton says it's diverting for other frontline, diverting funds for other frontline services and was a waste of time. And apparently the First Minister told Cole Hamilton, hey Spanner, it's to help frontline services. We can undo bed blocking and things like that. So I don't know what the outcome of that was, because Tam was telling me about it. I don't know whether he get his Bahookie scalped and sent a naughty step. But I would like to thank my neighbour Tam for telling me what the stuff shirt said. Or dare. No, actually, I might avoid them in future when First Ministers is on. So Cole Hamilton got a question yesterday, and the idiot says that the National Care Service, which is the day away with a postcode lottery and the care here at the sector here in Scotland, and also to help alleviate things like bed blocking in hospitals. Cole Hamilton says it's a waste of money, all right. Right, moving on Thursday. And Energy UK says that the Chancellor in the Exchequer's windfall tax could see investment through the North Sea. Davy says, heard that. Anyway, the Greens and climate activists are going, yes, let's face it, we have to wean ourselves off fossil fuels if we're going to leave a planet for our children and grandchildren to live on. So, even if the Chancellor and Exchequer inadvertently does chase away investment through the North Sea, it might not be that bad a thing in the long run. We do have to transition away from fossil fuels if the children and grandchildren are going to be anywhere to live. Also, Thursday, EIS Teaching Union announces 2 strike dates in January. If they can't get a settlement in the ongoing dispute over pay and conditions. 10th of January, primary teachers to strike. 11th of January, secondary school teachers to strike. Why 2 separate dates for the 2 schools, the 2 levels of base education here in Scotland? Well, obviously to create as much disruption as possible. That's the point of a strike. I mean, you could have all the teachers out in one day, but that wouldn't cause as much disruption to the economy and everything else. And the idea of the disruption is to get people to the table quicker and get a resolution quicker. I don't know where they're going to get money for the resolution. Maybe this 1.5 billion getting sent up the road can help cover public sector pay rises for a while. But anyway, that's the whole point of a strike, folks. To be disruptive. I mean, if the primary schools are off one day, it's one day more and Paul, or one of them can't go to work. Secondary, the next day, that's another day they can't go to work. That's a huge disruption to the economy. That is the point of striking. Will there be any more money for the public people who work in the public sector? Aye, probably. But that class size of 26 to 28 will go to 34 as teachers are laid off. The schools are not as clean as they used to be, as the salary staff gets cut. Why it is. There's a fixed budget in Scotland. Okay. Also Thursday, Met Office warns of flooding and chaos on the roads across Scotland for the next couple of days. So if you're out on the road, folks, remember to adjust your driving to the conditions you're driving in. We spoke about this a couple of weeks back when they were talking about the deaths on the A96 and on the A9. There's nothing wrong with these 2 roads. What's wrong is the guy in the machine, or sometimes a double whammy, the machine and the guy in the machine, or person in the machine. Roads don't cause accidents. Drivers no driving to conditions are the problem. So remember, folks, you're out there the next couple of days where floods and things like that are apparently going to be happening out there on the roads. Drive to conditions. Okay. And finally, before we move on to the papers, yesterday the Times ran a story saying that the SNP Westminster group were in turmoil. They say there's a civil war going on. Apparently, Stephen Flynn of Aberdeen South wants Ian Blackford's job. So the Times tells us. 2 minutes after the Times put the article out, Stephen Flynn put his head above the parapet and said, No, I'm not wanting Blackford's job. And the article goes on to tell us that apparently the rebellion was quashed. That was quick. Started at the beginning of the article, it was quashed by the end of the article. And apparently Mr. Blackford will be staying in charge until the next election. There you have it. Okay, here are the stories I picked out for you yesterday. I hope you found them interesting. I hope you found them informative. Nothing much to get ranty about. Let's see what's in the rags this morning, shall we? Maybe we'll get a wee rant of that. Okay, the rags. Where are we? Hey, Scotland's papers. Economy nightmare and never had it so bad. Here we go. The Scotsman, nightmare before Christmas. Millions now face dramatic collapse of living standards as economy slides into recession. And Swinney warns Scots to brace for higher taxes and more cuts after Chancellor's statement. The record has, you've never had it so bad. 12 years of Conservative rule. UK faces biggest ever slump in living standards, tax increases, spending cuts and higher energy bills, surge in unemployment and year-long recession. It's going to be more than a year, kids. Get strapped in. I've explained the reasons why it's going to be more than a year. Right, the Metro has, you've never had it so bad. Workers hammered with highest tax burden since World War II. The Herald has, UK faces record fall in income. These are the rags that sold us the union in 2014. These are the rags that are telling us unionism is best. These are the rags that sold us this mess. Anyway, UK facing record fall in incomes. The National has, Hunt's budget blow for Scotland. Hugh Whistle accuses Chancellor of shortchanging Holyrood with 1.5 billion funding pledge as inflation and Quartine have delivered 1.7 billion hit. So, not even adjusted to inflation. And the eye's nearer the truth. UK has lost decade, and that has been the Tories. That's been the story of the Tories. There's only been 1% growth per year since they've been in power, since 2010. They are not good custodians of the economy. They are disaster capitalists, thieves and vagabonds who are giving money to their friends straight out of your tax coffers. It was pointed out actually by the Labour Shadow Chancellor yesterday. A 4.9 billion, I think she said. And they're shutting down the fraud office that's supposed to be arresting people who stole this money. Mental. The Times has years of tax paying ahead, a decade. And it's got a picture of Hunt and some poor kid looking terrified. They want him. You want to see the front page of the Times. If I was a kid in school and that thing was looking at me, I'd be bloody terrified too. The Scottish Daily Mail has Tories soak the strivers. Biggest ever fall in living standards as recession hits. These people's they've got a brass neck. These are Tory supporting rags. They sold this shit to the English people. Tax source the highest since World War and 25 billion raid. Middle classes plundered to fund welfare and pensions. So there we go. The Scottish Daily Mail, right-wing gammon rag that sold this pish to the idiots that read it here in Scotland are now telling us it was bad pish. They were selling them. The Daily Tory Graph has the rhetoric of Osborne with the politics of Brown. Mental. And apparently, according to the Telegraph, the ship has been steadied, but we're all left with less of our own money. What's the other loony rag? The Express go? Victory! Express campaign secures 10.1% state pension increase. UK faces highest tax burden since Second World War, and Scotland will get 1.5 billion boost to protect public services. Box, every last word there. This is one of the rags that sold this pish to the knuckle draggers in Scotland who voted Tory. Let's vote and see what what's the Star got for us today. This ought to be good. The Daily Star of Scotland. After the gloomiest budget ever, let's look on the bright side. Life's rubbery being a gimp. Life's rubbery being a gimp. What the hell is that all about? Apparently they found somebody in Scotland who was happy with the fiscal statement, because remember, folks, it's not a budget, it's a fiscal statement. And apparently that person's a gimp. Good old Star, it's Friday. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant stuff. Anyway, that's what I've got for you this week. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. Not much ranting in there because it is pretty gloomy. The one thing I did get angry about was the way that people have been graded in value when it comes to cost of living support. If you are unemployed, but it's possible you could become a taxpayer, a revenue creator, as the Treasury likes to call you by number. You get 900 quid. If you're paid in all your life and you've reached pension age, you're not worth as much as the younger person. So you're getting 300 quid. If you're disabled or less able or whatever you want to call it, you're worthless in the eyes of the Tory government. You're getting 150 quid. And that really broke my heart yesterday. I've been watching the persecution of the disabled for 10 years now. A lot of them have died because of it. You've seen reports on people having to pay bedroom tax for rooms where they need to keep medical equipment. So sick puppies down that road. Anyway, I don't want to get too gloomy. We're coming into the weekend. So that's what I've got for you. There is a campaign on, folks. Project Fear has started, and we're being offered baubles. A feasibility report for the A75, they say. That's one of the baubles. 5 new warships on the Clyde. There's a bauble. And then, of course, there's Project Fear. They won't build ships on the Clyde. There won't be any shipbuilding on the Clyde if we become independent. Funny that. Last time I looked, we've got a big coastline. We live on a rock in the middle of the sea. I'm sure we're going to build our own navy. And apparently we won't. According to the think tank, these islands, unionist think tank, by the way, we've only got 6% of a offshore renewable potential for Europe and no 25%. Turns out actually the report that was done from Europe itself says that we will be 25% of Europe's potential offshore energy, wind and tidal, by 2035, and by 2050 we will have 47% of Europe's offshore renewable potential from wind and tidal, because we have the whole of the North Sea basin to stick wind turbines up in. So it would appear the idiots at these islands go all right. But these are Project Fear. You're too wee, you're too stupid. We'll not let you build ships for us. We'll build you a new road. So as I say, it started. So keep your eyes on the prize, learn your how you go on, and get out there and win hearts and minds. All right, support the independent broadcasters, support Broadcasting Scotland, Independence Live, and the Live Radio, Caledon Media, Cruise Radio, the iScot magazine, and the national newspaper. Support independent bloggers and bloggers. Get a crowdfunding gone. Please, throw some money in the pot. These guys do great work, because we don't want money. If you like what we do, just share it across your social media platforms, okay? But give me a minute to change the one on Facebook to public when we're finished here, all right? Now, remember the last couple of bits of guidance as we come into the winter. Face coverings in close public spaces, clean hands and surfaces regularly. If you're not feeling well, folks, do the sensible thing, cover up, don't infect your friends and family, okay? A wee bit of social distancing. If you're in the health and social care sector, you're using still using National Health lateral flow tests, please submit your results, because you guys live in the community and that way we can track what's in the community. Thanks. Look after yourselves. I'm on tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock and Siobhan's programme. I'd like to tell you what the title it is, but I don't speak Gaelic. And I find it bloody hard to pronounce. So we're on with Siobhan tomorrow at 3, and the 2 Davies Sunday show goes out at 3 on Sunday, okay? So it would appear I'm not getting, well, I did it last Monday because they work with the exchange, but a busy weekend ahead. You guys look after yourselves. I'll probably see you tomorrow and Sunday, but look after yourselves. Be kind to each other. Look out for each other. Times are going to get bloody hard. Have a good weekend.